Hi everyone, happy Valentine's Day, and I do love you all. Thank you so much for subscribing, everyone that has. I really do appreciate it, making my channel grow. I know you're all out there watching, and I've got so much to teach you. So today we're doing this flip flap shutter tutorial, which is a really easy concept, but it just looks really complicated. It's based on swing card, so you've got 3 sections of swing card in the middle, and then if I turn it over, you'll see that I've decorated the back of mine. But alternatively, you can decorate just the inside panel there. I've also added a frame, which is also optional, and matting and layering. So you don't have to do any of those things. That's just what I decided to do. Decorate this for all occasions. It could be Easter, it could be a photo flip album that you can just put on your side or give to someone for Christmas. How lovely would that be, to have the family photos on the back? So really nice concept. I obviously didn't invent this, but I have adapted it and done it in inches for you, so that I've used also the 8 by 5.5 inches for the 2 panels, and that means that you can cut both pieces from either your 8.5 by 11 or your A4. You can do either, so it will work across the board, this one. So 8 by 5.5 times by 2, and that's how we start. There are optional pieces to this, like I said, and I will show you those as we go on, which ones you do and don't have to do. But the first thing we need to do is cut an aperture out of the front. Now mine's going to be 1 inch, so I need to line up 1 inch on my scoreboard like so, and you want this all to be accurate. So if you've got matting and layering dies, you can use these, but also pencil marks, so 1 inch in and 1 inch down, and then you're going to cut from 1 all the way down to 7, and then you're going to spin it around to the 1 inch again. Don't do like I'm doing, because you could cut yourself on the blade. Do as I say, not as I do. Funny how you start sounding like your parents. So we start at 1, and then this one, it's 5.5, so we're going to come down to 4.5. So that's 1 to 4.5, and that'd be the, oops, did you see that move? Naughty. 1 to 4.5, like that. Spin it around again, and then pop it onto 1, like that. You haven't got a lot of room to work with, because I haven't got one that extends to 1 inch. I've just ordered a paper trimmer, so I'm hoping it's going to be a little bit better than this one. This is ancient. I've had this for decades. And then 1 there, and then again 1 here. Now this is a long way away from me, and I can't actually see very well if I'm above the because I'm coming in at an angle. I would normally have my head over the top, but because I'm doing an aerial video, we don't want that. You don't want to look at my head, do you? So your corners would be a lot more accurate than mine. And that one's not quite made it, I don't think, either of those, so I'll just snip those away. And then you've got your aperture. So you've got a 1 inch border frame. So that's all there is to that. And then this will be the back piece. So if you've got a pattern card and you want it to be a particular way, then obviously you would put that up the right way. But what we're going to do is now make the 3 sections that go in the middle. I've already made 2, and they're going to end up like this. I've got 1 to do, and there's the other one. Now these start off at 3 by 5.5 inches, so they're exactly the same width as the card, and they need to be, because they're going to be glued, so you don't want them to overhang. You can cut them down at the end. It's probably a little bit trickier, but try and be as accurate as you can. And 3 inches wide. So you start off with a piece like this, and then you make score lines. So I'm just going to show you the score lines that we do, and this is the only thing you have to do scoring on. So I'll just bring my trimmer, sorry, not my trimmer, my scoreboard in, and then we can take it away. So when it's landscape, so you've got the longest part, the 5.5 inch that way, you're just going to score it at 1 and 4.5. Now if you've got a pattern on this card, so I always like to say if it's a person, then you want to do the 1 inch score all the way down the side with the top. So if the person's head is there and their feet's there, you want it to be this way, and then score on the left side 1 inch all the way. Then you're going to come down 1 inch, so at 2, so 1 inch from the edge, just to the score line, and there just to the score line. And that's all the scoring you need to do, but you obviously would do it for all three, but I've already prepared 2 of them. I'm going to show you twice. I'm going to show you this one that I need, and then I'm going to show you one that I've drawn lines on so it's easier to see what we've been doing. So this so we need to take away this section here. Okay, so we need to get rid of this. So what you have to do is you have to take off a little bit of the tab at the top, because I always think that helps with the mechanism, making it work a little bit better. And then you've got your score line down through there. So there's your score line. Now I really want to make sure that you come in on the left side, and I'll exaggerate that in a minute when I show you on the other piece. So I'm just going to cut down, and you can use your paper trimmer for this. So you can, but mine's too far away for me to see it, to be fair. I'll probably get it very wrong. And also make sure that any of that score line is gone from that tab. So I'm going to cut a little bit more off. You don't want to see any of the indentation of the score line. Now you turn it around, and what you do with this one, you need to come in on this side of the score line, and you're just going to cut up to there, and again do it straight up to there, and then take a little piece of tab off as well, like that and like that. I'm going to show you now with pen so that you can see it a lot clearer. So these are the score lines that I made. Like I said, if the head was there, you'd have it up there. So I've just reinforced some with a pen so that you can see where to cut. So like I say, the first bit that comes out is this piece. And what you need to do is come in like that on each side. So you're cutting away from the score line at a very slight angle. Then this score line here, you need to come in exaggerated this side of the line. So right over this side of the line. So make sure you're getting all of that score out of the way. So I don't want to see any pen line. You obviously wouldn't put pen lines on yours. It'll just be score lines. That's it for that section. Then you turn it around, and you just want this bit to be straight, but just inside the score line. So just cut that straight, and that side straight, and then cut a little section off. I just think it helps with the box. If it's not quite 100% an inch, like the frame, it will show through, and it just stops it from showing through. So that's all you need to do on 3 of those. The other thing you need to do is when you bend in these score lines, because you need to reinforce them, if you've gone out, I'm going to exaggerate it, on your score line, and your tab is doing that, make sure you push it back up. You want it to be in line with the top. It doesn't matter what's going on down here. Doesn't matter, because we've cut that angle, but we don't want the angle to be across the top, because it'll interfere with the mechanism down here. So it's really important that you get that one, forced it now, up to there like that, and then reinforce the score lines. They both come in like this, so both tabs come in like that on both ends, and then you'll know where your top and your bottom is for lining up. Well, you'll see on your, if you've got a pattern that matters anyway, because you can use double-sided card for this, which is what I did do on mine. I'll just show you quickly. So I liked it all to be the same colour, so I did the red polka dot here, and then I did the red polka dot, you see there, the red polka dot there, but on the reverse was this pattern. So I did no matting and layering because I already have my pattern. So entirely up to you, like I say, how you go about this, but that's how you do those. So that makes it a little bit easier to see. Just clear up a little bit. So this is our back, this is our frame, and these are our 3 pieces. Now this is the bit that matters, okay? Now if you wanted to have this effect on the outside, which we could do because I'm going to be covering mine, it's an option, but we'll get there in a minute. So what you need to do is where you've got the cutout, that goes to the edge here, top and bottom. So it has to all line up nicely like that. And that's what you're going to do. I'm just going to, that one's definitely been done. Make sure I've reinforced all these score lines, because I cut one just now with you, and I don't think I did. Just make sure they're all going top and bottom. Yeah, I think this is the one I didn't do. Yep. And this one as well. Just make sure they're all doing what I said so that they all line up. The bottom of the card and the top of the card. Like that. I'm going to just fold that down a bit tougher. Okay, so there, you could line them all up so then you know, let's move the frame, so you can see that all three of them are going to be going on to this piece like that, all in that order. So I'm going to use wet glue, and I recommend you do too. You've got wiggle time with this, and also you need a permanent bond on this. So I'm just going to get my glue going. It doesn't want to do. Oh, it's stencil glue, just bear with. I'll go and change that. We don't want to use that. Pin Flare bookbinding glue. This is what I love for my projects. So we're going to go this way, but we need to turn it over and just put glue on the tabs either side of the hole that you've created. And if you know me by now, I like to smear my glue with my baby finger because I find it doesn't... I tend to curl my baby finger under my hand when I'm doing most things, like this one is over here. Just sort of don't use it, so I like to use the smear. And then what we need to do is get this all lined up nicely to the edge, top and bottom, like that. Give it a good rub down and just let that set. Pull these tabs over out of the way, because what happens is the next one, let me just put a bit of paper under there so you can see. The next one comes in like that. So it butts up to those two, and these two go side by side, and you can see my wonky cut in there, but you won't see it. So we're going to put glue on this and on this. Get baby out. Baby tool. Make sure it's all to the edges, because I really do want this to fully cover. You don't want to overlap either, so you don't want these two pieces to overlap each other. So at the top and at the bottom there, squash them down, make sure it's level. Someone's a little bit off. That score's probably a little bit over, so just make sure your top and bottom are good. Excuse me. Again, flip these over. So we're flipping these over, and then do our final one. So don't forget these tabs on the reverse where you've got your cutout. It's always better to smear your glue, it gives it a better bond and quicker. So pop that on there and onto the bottom there. Make sure it's lined up top and bottom. You can see there's a gap there. And there you go, that's your three on. So all these tabs need to be pulled over, because what happens now is the frame will go over the top of all of it, like that. But what I'm going to do, and this is an optional, it depends on what card you've used. So if you can see there where my tabs join there, if that was a red card, it would stand out and it would really, really show. So if you take yourself a piece of card that is 7.5 by 5.5, I'm just going to grab these, 7.5 by 5.5, and then cut. So it was all one whole strip. Okay, it was 7.5 by 5.5, and then you cut 7/8 off of one end, and keep going from the left. And then you do one at 1 7/8, another at 1 7/8, and another at 2 7/8. And the reason they're not like full size is because you've got these pieces here and you don't want it to interfere with them. So just to cover that up really in the background. So this is an optional stage, but I just think it really adds to the finish. I'm just going to put wet glue. I'm not going to smear, just for speed. Just going to get these down. So this, as you can see, it covers up there. It also gives a nice effect when you flip the card, which you'll see at the end. So that one goes there. Turn it over. And then this one's going to go in here. And I could use the polka dot side if I wanted, but I thought it might be quite nice to have a flower border. Pop that one on there. And it's important that you do this before you add the frame, because once you've added the frame, it's really difficult to slide these little... You can do it, but it's difficult to slide them in. If your glue takes too quick and you haven't got it in place, game over. I'm going to put that one up that way because I think it's meant to be that way. You can see because it's full length. Probably cut that one a little bit too short. And then this one on the end. Like that. And it's really pretty, isn't it? So now you can see we've got all of those in, and you could obviously have your sentiments and everything on here. You can do this with stamping as well. It looked really nice with stamping, wouldn't it? So you've got your 3 sections, you've got your background paper in, and now we can add the frame. Now I will add the frame first, but if I was going to put, which I'm going to show you how to do, a layer over the top, then I would do that first because it's easier to do it while it hasn't got all of these bits going on. So all of these tabs bent to the left, so they've all been flicked over to the left. They're all going that way. And I'm just going to add glue to all 6. And I am going to smear it because we need this glue to take. Like that. Smear it all down. You can see what a different effect this is having as well by not, you know, the other one was so sort of contemporary and bright for Valentine's Day, etc. And this one, it's completely different. So that's why I want it, because my leaves and buds are going up. And now I'm just going to put my frame over the top of all of those. So you just need to get your frame in, and if you've cut accurately, it'll be all right. It'll fit. If not, you might have to make another. It looks like I've cut mine a bit short. No, should be all right. Look, they're all coming out. As long as they all come out, you're good. So you need to give this a really good rub down. Make sure that you can see there I'm a little bit off, so I'll pull it over. And that is fine. That just needs cutting off that edge bit there. But it's fine for now. So once, you should wait till it's dry, and I'm going to be impatient because obviously it's a video. And just rub it down the other way. So now your mechanism is in. Now the other thing I want to mention about this, see, flipping in, we're flapping. The other thing I want to mention about this is if you're using pattern papers, you've got some really nice pattern papers that you like, and you wanted to make just a basic frame without having a border one, which I'm going to show you next, then you really need to mat it, or glue it rather, onto some thicker cardstock. You need some weighty cardstock because this will get pulled and pushed a lot, and if it's flimsy, it'll crack, it'll break, it'll fold. So you need that extra strength on that one. I did that on this one because I used pattern paper. This card's really heavy, so I mat and layered onto there. There's a couple of thicknesses there, and I just run a red alcohol pen across there to colour in all the edges because I have white edges. And it just looks really, as you can see there, the white edges down there, I didn't want that. I couldn't do that because it would have bled into the card on that side, but that's something else that you need to think about when you're doing it as well. So now I'm going to show you how to make the frame, like the overlay frame. So you just take a piece of card, and I've got double-sided here, so I choose if I want to have a floral frame or if I want to have this frame. I might go this side actually, but you need to choose that if you're using a trimmer, because you do get a funny edge to a trimmer when you've done it. So this is 7.5 by 5, okay, 7.5 wide, 5 deep. And on this one, we're going to be cutting in just 1/2 inch. So I can use my 1/2 inch section on this side now. Now that means I can butt up a lot more of my cardstock, so it'd be a lot safer to do. So my 1/2 inch mark is there. And then I'm just going to make a 1/2 inch border. So start at 1/2 inch, all the way down to 7 on this side. So 1/2 to 7 is where you're cutting. And then when you turn it around, you'll be cutting from 1/2 again, all the way down to 4.5. So 1/2 to 7 and 1/2 to 4.5. A bit more there, I think. Like I say, I really can't see. I need to be above it. It's because it's a clear ruler and it's got the light on it. half down to 7 and half to 4.5, but we'll make good. You can probably see better at home because I'm at an angle below the camera and you're completely above it. So you'll be like, Sarah, you're there. So let's just have a look at this. You can see I've got a border. What a difference that makes though already, framing that. And I could have done it that way, I still could, because you can see the cut lines. See that it angles up, so you can see it's the wrong side. And then when you open it, you've got all that pretty inside as well. It's really nice, isn't it? I'm tempted to go that way, but I think I'll go this way. So we'll put it on like that. A little bit there, that's really annoying me. You can always cover this up with a bit of ribbon, flour, anything like that if you don't cut accurately. Added some glue to the back of the frame. It's just such a different card. I don't know who invented it. I saw it years ago, and I think it was JK Arts years ago, but I don't know who invented it, but it's a great little invention, and I've simplified it for you nicely with your inches. So just make sure that's in the centre all the way around, like that. Give it a rub down. There you see, difference already. Now, if you want to do matting and layering, when you cut this aperture out of the middle of there, you can reuse that and make some nice mats to go on the front piece there, which would look gorgeous. But I've shown you, so if you wanted to do that, you would cut them to 2 by 3.5. So cut along 3.5 and then it'd be 2, 2, 2. And they would go on there. I won't do it because of time. But then I've cut down some other flowers here that I can put on the front here. Now, if I was going to do that, I would have probably put the this side, polka dot side, and then matted in there onto that, because that would look gorgeous. But we can just do this, and what I'll do just for speed is I'll just use a tape runner and I'll just pop that on there. So we've got one there. These are properly in order, and I've probably not done it. Doesn't matter. Onto there. So these ones I've cut down to, let me remember, they would have been 2 by 3, wouldn't they? So I've cut these down to 1 3/4 by 3.25. Like I said, I've got all the measurements. I can show you at the end. There, it's coming together nicely, isn't it? And you can obviously decorate all of this, and then just on the back you do the same thing. So we'll just put these down. We'll do the polka dot side that matches the frame when you flip it. Then I'll show you how it looks, and then I'll show you all the measurements that you need to go away and make the project. And obviously I wouldn't finish here. I'd have words, I'd have flowers, but my channel is all about the know-how. I'm teaching you how to make these cards, these concept cards, and lots of other things, quilling, iris folding will be coming. There's just lots and lots of things in crafting to do. So check out my videos on my playlist. So there you go. So you would have flowers. I can just see flowers and pearls would look gorgeous on this. And then just, you can add a little tab to the edge as well, like I did on this one. I just add a little tab with an arrow, so the recipient knows to pull the card. Like that. You just flip it and flap it. Flip it and flap it. So you can see that lovely picture in the background has really helped enhance. It's worth doing that, I think, because when you tilt it, see we've got all that lovely paper in the background, whereas that would have just showed all the ugly mechanism. So I think it's a bit more secretive as well how you've done it. A bit more of a wow. Right, okay, so I'll just put down the measurements for you and you can screenshot them, have a look at them, write them down. I'll give you time to make notes. Thanks for watching. See you again soon. Bye.